Is that a good? Is that a thing? From what I noticed is that the New York City mothers
they
don't want to
right.
leave because they like the convenience of walking
Elevators.
to the store. Yeah, they like the convenience of I can go here, there, go back to my place and leave. Versus the Southern mothers, they'll walk them out. You know what I mean? They know. I guess they're conformed. Like they're content where they're at. You know what I mean? So
it's gotta be right.
Yeah, my mother will not leave. She would not leave Webster Project 40 plus years.
She has her people.
She don't come outside, God. She just would not leave. She want all her kids to. She won't leave.
That's home. That's home. You know what I mean? Home is where the heart is.
Yeah, but you gotta grow. You know what I'm saying?
That's their. So that's their.
She feel like she's grown.
Right.
I'm grown.
Right.
Guess what? She don't have to. There's no children anymore. I don't know the circumstances.
No, it is no grandkids.
So she probably went from I don't know how many rooms to now she only got her own room.
It's 3 bedrooms and she only sleep in the living room, God. I'm like, yo, mom. So when you gonna downsize? When you gonna make a move? I ain't gonna fucking play. That's what she said. I'm leaving my house.
Both my grandmothers lived in the same project. Puerto Rican grandmother had the 5th floor facing this way, this Atlantic Terminals in Brooklyn, right, Medina. And then the other one had the one facing Carlton Avenue. I couldn't do nothing. And anytime I was like playing with my friends, I had to go to the store. You know what I mean? Like
you out the window, right?
Mijo, come here.
Right.
And then she would go and she would order me stuff and she would tell me what to get. Don't get it with your black grandmother. Don't get us mixed. Like it was like I was always going back and forth to the store. But they always like I'm project affiliate because when my parents went out, they just like, hey, go to your grandmother's house. I'd be like, which one? 3rd floor, 5th floor, right? And they would then shuffle us back and forth, right? But it was just one of those.
That's kind of dope though. That's dope though. That's
no. It's dope.
Well, it was dope. Christmas. You know what I mean? Like so like around this time, you had a birthday party, right? So the Puerto Ricans come down, crash the party, salsa dance. You know what I mean? And then vice versa, we have a party. Everybody came back and forth. You know what I mean? So you really didn't want to fuck with us in our building. You're like we were deep because of
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Like the
but at the
system.
same time, now flip it.
Support system, exactly.
Flip it.
Yeah.
It's nothing I couldn't do with his mother, your mother. You know what I mean? I saw Ronnie around the corner acting a fool, and then they had their little, So it's
no, it's not dope as a kid, but it's dope as a as a structure.
Right.
Like
Exactly.
the family support. Like as a child, you're like I can't get away with nothing. Like the same
Right.
thing with me. Like my mother, she's like don't go down that block, and I go down that block. And I saw you. How you see me? You wasn't even over there. Well, somebody was over there.
Exactly. Listen, they got these spies, right? But my father's mother, right, Nana, she would. When I started dating high school, when I started dating girls, it's like I'm finally like dating them, and at this point I'm having sex. Right?
So was it a problem with them when you was bringing girls home? Because my mother.
I'm about to build right into that. Right? So my black grandmother would say, Ronnie, 1 and 1 is 3. They look at the girl. 1 and 1 is 3, and they were and I'm like, and I would tell them.
What does that mean? With Bill on that, what does that mean?
1
You gotta get it pregnant.
and 1 is 3, right? Wow. So it took me 2 days, and she goes, Ronnie, don't do me a favor, sweetie. Until you figure out what 1 and 1 and 3 is, don't see that girl no more. And I'm like, Grandma, I'm about to. It's time, like it's go time. She come into the crib, it's go time. Do me a favor. I'll end up walking the girl back to the bus stop. We went and did something else, right? And she goes, until you figure out what, it took me 2 days to figure out what 1 and 1 and 3 is, right? Real slow. So then, I'm like, 1 and 1 is 3. I had that, everybody kept saying, Ron, you can't do math. 1 and 1 is 3, right? And then the other mothers was like, 1 and 1 is 3. And my father goes, she used to do that shit to us too, son. Don't even worry about it. But they were saying, like, yo, listen, be careful of the woman that you pick. You know what I mean? So they had a slick way of saying, I don't like that girl. You know what I mean? Like just looking at her, looking at you. The fact that the girl is following, the fact that she's following you, right? Right. So because remember, they feed us, they nurture us, they know us. So when she would say 1 and 1 is 3, right? And then I'm bringing her upstairs to my Puerto Rican grandmother, and my Puerto Rican grandmother's like, why is she here? Right? And I'm like, oh shit. So now I ain't got no place to bring the girl, right? Because I'm thinking we're gonna hang out, chill. So now I gotta leave, and I would come back, walk into the bus stop, whatever, take her home. Come back, yo, grandmas, what's up? And they go, little son, you really don't understand they would say stuff like, they never gave it to me. They say, look at your uncles. Look at the shit your uncles are going through. Look at things so and so's going through. Look at the stuff your mom going through. 1 and 1 is 3. And I'm like, I don't get it, Grandma, right? And then she's like, yo, listen, you're not making. They pretty much saying you're not making good decisions, right? And then think about it, 1 and 1, the understanding. If we ain't got them principles in there, that baby is gonna falter. So they used to throw them at me, you know, because it just what it was just a different level of understanding. Then it was just very slick. 1 and 1 is 3, son. Here, like knowledge, wisdom is the understanding, but they didn't have that. I grew up with more biblical principles. Both my grandmothers, they was like, yo, I'm into my Jesus, but they would read the lessons, and then they would kind of like, my one grandmother, she would take the lessons and then do sermons with the lessons. And then she would do, so she likes, and she uses Jesus' parable of the sower of the seed, right? And then she would say, baby, read that. And I was like, okay, I would see it. And then he was like, as you sow the seeds, the birds or the fowl of the earth will come and sweep up the seeds. And then the second, when you sow the seeds, that some will get choked up by the roots, by the weeds that will get choked out. And then the others, when they look like they have foundation, when the sun comes out, they get burnt. And then there's the ones that grow fruit. And I go, shit, that's probability. That's 1 out of 4, Grandma. She goes, yeah, good luck, sweetie. You go out there doing God's work. The probability is not in your favor. Oh shit, did she just drop a jewel on us and walk that? And then she would leave. She'd just walk out. Take that to them 5%. And she would walk out, right? It was like, Grandma. And then we would look at it like, yo, she just took that understanding of that lesson, gave it to us, and said, yo, everybody you teach is not gonna get it. They not gonna get it just because they're not ready, their timing. And she would take that to them 5%. And then she would walk off, right? Because she was kind of, she didn't understand why they didn't take to it. And then all of a sudden they went from these nice names that she picked to all these righteous
new names,
right?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not calling you. And I used to love when she called my father his government, and everybody knows the God. And then she would say his name, and I would like, Grandma's downstairs, right? And he would answer to it. He was like, yo, that's just who she gonna be. You know what I mean? But everybody else, this is the name, right? So, but to mom, my grandmothers didn't compromise. You know what I mean? But they liked the overall, the structure that we started coming in with. You know what I mean? Now you look at your physique, like soon as now you're looking in the mirror, now you're looking at your physique. Now you have there's the lesson caps, and then there's your schoolwork cap, right? With them it was like, what's this capital of this state? What is the capital? They had geography. They had their own versions of their school stuff they were actually. And then you started seeing, okay, all right, this is more of a mental training thing. This is more of just how she learned that parable. It's the same way we would learn the 120, right? I go, oh, it's a mental exercise. And she goes, yeah, you should be able to drop it like that. And she would school us in it. And it's funny how I always maintain that, because it was profound how she did it. And you could tell it was 5% of that. And she would just walk off, right? Because how do you challenge that? You know what I mean? Because how many students have you ever had that someone didn't take to it? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then how many, because of time, they weren't ready. And then they just, all those guys or whatever, and then when you do get the ones, then they produce fruit, and then you move on. So mathematically, equation, like you're going to fail more than you.
Right. It reminds you of something like, especially the 5%, we teach in a way where we teach for two different times. Peace to God. We teach for 2 different times a lot of times. We teach for the moment right now, the things that you need now. But the longer that you build with an older God, I guess in this case it's gonna be me now. Right? There's gonna be things that we say.
You're there soon.
The more that we build, the more that we're saying things for you to hold for much later. You know, we talk about Firstborn Prince. He would say a lot of things that I would just like jot down. He used to make fun of me, make jokes about me writing down everything. Because before, that was when there was no phone and shit like that. So I would have notepads. We're reporters, we're journalists. We have notepads writing everything. And I would write down everything, but I didn't really understand a lot of the stuff he said. And there was one time, I don't remember what it was, but I was going back to Sunset Park, because when I got knowledge, I was still living in Sunset Park. And I would be on the D train going back, and I would be like, oh man, that's what he was saying. I sound like a crazy man in the train. And I was like, oh, that's what the God was building on. And it would hit you later, these things. You know what I'm saying? These things.
Understanding comes with time.
Yeah, and it's like, so it would be like that with a lot of things. You know what I'm saying?
They have foresight.
A lot of things that God's taught me, and this is why they teach us young, I was already inside that mistake. Because I was older. And I learned the lesson, but it only became useful for me to be able to teach it as another victim of it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the way that we're taught, there's so many levels that get taught. So when you teach in a classroom setting that has a long class session like this, there's things that I'll say that's for a longer period of time, things that I say for a more immediate time. You know what I mean? This is why everybody gotta copy notes. You know what I mean? And people don't. They don't write notes. You know, they're not note takers. But if you take those mental notes, though, even though we can cheat now and everything is noted here, everything is recorded. You know what I mean? That wasn't the way it always was. You know what I'm saying?
If Mega did this.